Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at theofftherecordshow@gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. All right. What up, man? What's going on?
What's up, man? I see you. That Panthers hat is tough. That is a tough hat.
Let's get some horns for this Panthers hat. If folks don't know, well, before we even get into that, this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
What's so funny, man?
You got the new era. Got the Panthers. Everybody's every team's doing that little emblem on the back. What's that emblem mean?
It's the crucial catch. Crucial catch is for it's I forget, but it's one of the things that the NFL does each month. Last month was the Pink for breast cancer awareness. I forget about crucial catch. I'll remember, but I don't remember right now. But everybody knows that I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm also a fan of hats. A few weeks ago, a good friend of ours, Charles, came on the show, and he paid his bets. This was actually the third part of the bet. The first part was the money. The second part was the yoke 'em up, and the third part, the hat. And I chose this hat because I was like, you know what? It's a bit petty, but it's okay. It's okay because this is a nice hat. It looks nice, and shout out to Charles. I think we get some horns for Charles.
Absolutely. Okay, so while we're on the topic of betting, I got a question about that, right? So if you lose a bet like that, does that deter you from making future bets, or do you continue to make bets? Because I know for me, it's just kind of like I lose like that. I'm good on betting.
Well, me personally, no, it doesn't deter me from betting because I've won. So it is like I'll dust myself off and try again.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. Like I feel like you bet within reason, right? You don't necessarily have to go crazy and like if you go to like the casino, if you're betting on sport on the different sports book apps, you got to be responsible, right? You definitely shouldn't bet what you can't afford. You definitely do it within reason. It's all about just like when you eat in moderation, and you shouldn't stuff your plate till you can't fit anything else on there, and then go back for seconds. You just look terrible, So when you bet, you just have to be responsible.
So with that being said, would you bet on the Chiefs right now?
It depends on what the bet is. If you ask me, would I bet on the Chiefs versus the Giants? Absolutely. But if you're talking about betting on the Chiefs making the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl, I'm like, I don't know about that. I would hold off and possibly say maybe not. I don't know. That's a tough bet, man. That's a tough bet. I don't have the confidence in the Chiefs that I had, before the season.
Do you think that some of us may be panicking a little bit early? I'm still one of those that the Chiefs will figure it out. they'll get it together and they'll turn it on. But I hear a lot of people that are doubting whether or not they're going to be able to turn it on, and they're just kind of like, it's not going to be that easy.
You know what this kind of reminds me of, not to the same level. I want to say it was Garoppolo's second year in New England. That was what, 2017 or one of those years. I can't remember the year they played the Falcons. I think that was 2015 or 16.
That might have been 17. That might have been 17 the year
so
they played.
They were bad. They were bad to start the season. I think they were like 3-4. They or 3-3. They played Kansas City. Go figure. They played Kansas City
on opening night. Yeah.
No. On Monday night. On Monday night.
And got this.
And they benched Brady. Everybody was panicking, and that's when everybody was like, "Oh, I think this is the beginning of the end for the Patriots." And next thing you know, they went on a run and ended up winning the Super Bowl. So with that, I think that it's a wait and see with not the Patriots, but with the Chiefs. I don't think that you should just write them off just yet. I think they can figure it out, and I don't know about winning the division. They can still win the division. They could go on a run, win that division because they still have to play the Raiders again. They still have to play the Chargers again. So they could go on a run, win that division, and then once you get in the playoffs, all bets are off.
Right.
Yeah, I would if I was in the AFC and they made it to the playoffs because and they're gonna have to go on some sort of run to make it to the playoffs. I wouldn't want to see the Chiefs.
No, I mean it's still an explosive offense. They've got some things that they need to figure out on defense. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be whether or not they can turn it around or not. So they've got to do two things, right? They've got to figure it out on defense, and they got to quit turning the ball over.
Right.
I think if they could figure those two things out, and that's a lot. That's a pretty tall order. I mean, it's not that easy to just fix your defense in one bye week or limiting your turnovers. That's something that, I mean, it can be corrected, but it's a lot easier said than done.
Right. Yeah, and I think that if they want to, some of the things that they need to do is that defense. They have to fix the defense and possibly, make some trades if you have to. If you have to trade picks, make some trades and get some of these guys like a Xavier Howard, some of these D linemen that are on the block and make it work. You're not going to be able to trade the whole defense, but you can make some moves that can absolutely help your defense because you have the Honey Badger, and I think that's probably the only person on their defense, maybe Chris Jones, but the Honey Badger is the only person that you can definitely say he's a baller. He should be out there. Chris Jones, possibly, but it just seems like they're not getting it. And they don't have to be great, but they have to be better than what they are right now because ultimately that defense is forcing the offense to press, mainly Patrick Mahomes. And that's where the turnovers are coming because he's trying to go for the big play. And this is on Andy Reid a little bit because knowing that their defense is the way that it is, run the ball more.
Right.
Run the ball more. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. Yeah, I just so I do think that they should run the ball more. At the end of the day, they have to cut down on the turnovers and get some more stops, or it's gonna be a short season.
So I got an off topic. Deshaun Watson. Talks are heating up with him possibly going to Miami.
Right.
Tua said that he's not concerned with it. He doesn't even know when the trade deadline is.
Right.
Do you think it's a little bit too premature to sell on Tua and bring Deshaun Watson in, or what are your thoughts on that?
So it's a lot with Deshaun Watson because he has a lot of baggage, as we know. He has a lot of baggage, and you don't really know if he's going to get suspended. You don't know what's going to happen, and now, do you sell on Tua? I don't know if you sell on Tua just yet. I don't think Tua is the only problem. I personally think Tua's been playing pretty well the last few weeks. They just can't get out their own way. They can't get out their own way, and that's ultimately causing them to lose these games that they really should win.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like Tua's been playing pretty good. I mean, he's a second-year player, so you got to take the good with the bad. I was shocked to see that so early that the Dolphins were willing to just pull the plug and bring Deshaun Watson in. Now, Deshaun Watson, I mean, I know we've been critical of some of his off-the-field stuff that's been going on, but on the field, I mean, he's a phenomenal talent. And I can see a team just saying, you know what, we're going to go all in to get him because we feel like he changes the dynamics of our team. But right. I'm not sure that you have to give up. Like, I don't feel like they've given Tua a fair shot to see if he is that guy. And like you said, it's a lot of uncertainty with whether he's going to play. Now, I know it came out with the NFL that there's not enough evidence to suspend them, and they would let them play. And I would think that Miami has done their due diligence as far as, like, you know, figuring out, okay, is he going to be suspended? Is there a likelihood there's going to be criminal charges? Just, you know, all the above. But I was surprised that teams are willing to take a risk. Now, for Miami, they seem so. I like Flores, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's a good coach, and I like what he did with the Dolphins last year. But it seems like they just struggle to have like an identity. Like you don't know, like it's almost got like a Patriot feel without Tom Brady. And maybe that's where they're going, because like you don't know if they're going to run the ball. You don't know who's leading that backfield. It looks like they're a running back by committee team.
Yep.
They've got a whole bunch of just receivers. I wouldn't call them no-name receivers, but they're just kind of like there. It seems like they have a pretty good tight end, a couple of good tight ends, and you just don't really know what they're about, you know?
Yeah. So going into the season with Miami, you know, you saw that they had all these receivers and all these so-called weapons. They had they have a good tight end. But I do think, you know, the two best things for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, is a running game and a tight end. Those are his two best friends. But they don't really have a running game. They don't have a running game. They don't have a good enough running game to say, this guy is or isn't our leader. Me personally, I don't think so. So if you go in the draft and or find the free agent running back that you can sign that can be of value, I think they should do that. If they could get one of those good running backs coming out in the draft, but that's a huge problem. The defense is not bad. I'm you know, Flores is a defensive guy, and the defense isn't bad. I think that they're okay. Again, they're losing by field goals, so it's not like they're getting their butts kicked. They're losing by field goals. So those are things that this season you lose by the field goal. Next season you win by a touchdown. You know, and that's just That's just how it is. But I don't think they should sell on Tua yet. And I don't think that his job should be in jeopardy either.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? We did have a trade that went through Mark Ingram to the Saints. So we've got the 1-2 punch, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, they're back in the fold, 3 years removed. What do you think about that?
It's just blah to me. It's like I mean it didn't move me. I was like, oh, that's sentimental, but what? How much are you gonna get out of? How much you gonna get out of Mark Ingram? I mean, like a few years ago, I personally didn't think he should have left, right? But he went and got his money, and you can't be mad at somebody that get their money. But like now, I'm like, that doesn't scare me. I mean,
so
what are your thoughts about that?
I want to take a different approach. I think Mark Ingram over the past couple seasons has gotten disrespected. I feel like that he shows up, and for whatever reason, he found himself out of favor with the Ravens, which they had a pretty good thing going when he first got to the Ravens, right? But obviously they started last year. They started putting in Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and he found himself out the rotation. He goes down to Houston, and I mean that team is a disaster anyway. But he appeared to be during the preseason and there early on in the season as it should be dominating that backfield. But for whatever reason, they won't give him the ball, and they're committed to being a run by committee team with Philip Lindsay, and I guess people are still thinking that David Johnson, like this is 2016 and the old David Johnson is going to reemerge. So I couldn't figure that out. But I think this for what the Saints do, you've got your pass catching back this out the backfield, and then now you've got your Thunder. You got Thunder and Lightning, right? And you got somebody that's going to pound the ball. I think it could work. I think for what they got on, it's late draft picks. I think I'm not going to say it's the missing piece to get them the championship, but I think that the offense is going to open up a little bit more with both of them.
What's a little lighter? What's maybe it's like a light Thunder. I don't know if he's really still Thunder. Right? I don't know.
Yeah. Hey. That might have been a little bit too much on it. Yeah.
I mean, and I get it because you know what? It may
no, but that's a good question though. What is a little bit less than Thunder? Like maybe like a hammer or
I don't know. It's like, but so it is him going to the Saints is I think it helps with the confidence of Alvin Kamara. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of Alvin Kamara. Because let's be real. Michael Thomas ain't there. Alvin Kamara is it. He's it. He is absolutely it. Because what's going to happen is they're going to have Mark Ingram in with Alvin Kamara. Kamara's going to be lined up in the slot. I mean, you get to use them in like how you used them a few years ago. I don't know, man. It just didn't move me. I saw it and I was like, okay. I see y'all over there, but well, time will tell. I'll leave it at that. Time will tell how good Mark Ingram, how much better Mark Ingram makes the Saints. I still think they're a playoff team.
So let me ask you this. All right, so we're about almost halfway through, right? With the season. Well, not quite. Probably about 40% through. Jameis Winston, are you buying or selling him?
Right now, I'm buying.
Okay.
But with a contingency. The contingency is when the hell is Michael Thomas going to show up? Or they're going to go after some bigger name receivers next year, because the receivers that they have now are duds. They're duds. It's like, they're duds. They ain't got it. They ain't got it. And so even if they get Michael Thomas back, they better go get somebody, because then they have Emmanuel Sanders. They did have Emmanuel Sanders, right?
A lot of teams had Emmanuel Sanders.
But the Saints had Emmanuel Sanders because they traded for him. And
the 49ers had him, the Broncos had him, the Steelers had him. And that guy, ever since he's been with the Broncos, has showed up every place.
Everywhere he's been.
Everywhere he's been. I can't figure it out.
Dog. And he's in Buffalo right now, still in receptions from stuff. You're gonna try and trigger me. Yeah,
I had him. I dropped him. I got him in my last round. I was like, let's just see. I mean, what's the worst it could do? And 1 week, I was like, you know what? I get somebody else, and he's balling. I mean, he's a integral part of that offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, and so he's good, but the Saints, they need to get more weapons. I mean, they just do. First things first is they need to get Michael Thomas back in the fold. However they need to do it, and if they don't, they need to trade him for some pieces. A receiver and some draft picks or something, because I mean, people can say what they want about Jameis. Was it Marquise Callaway? He's a dud. He's a dud. They got Traquan Smith back last week. He's a speedster, but I don't think he's that good without Michael Thomas on the other side. So I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people have put the offensive struggles of the Saints on Jameis Winston, and I don't think that's fair.
So, interesting matchup this week, right? It was the Ravens versus the Bengals. Bengals ended up pulling it off. They moved into number one. Do they stay at number one, or is there another shift in that division?
In the division, yeah. I think that I think all those teams are can actually take it, but I feel like I'm not off of the Browns yet. They've had some injuries. If they get healthy, they are still as good as anybody. But you still have to have the Ravens as the favorites to win that division. Even though I picked the Browns in the beginning of the season, but I think they had a bad game, a really bad fourth quarter. I mean, that was a terrible fourth quarter. And so we'll see. But those Bengals, that Burrow to Jamar Chase combination, the league better watch out for. In a year or two, maybe even 3, they'll be the best quarterback receiver combo in the league.
I'll tell you a team that I am severely disappointed in. And I rarely talk about my team on here, my San Francisco 49ers.
I'm just going to sit back and you got the floor, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, so they had a couple of losses early on. And I said, you know what? It is what it is. Things will be back. The loss to the Colts scared me. And we're another team too. And I don't want to speak from the heart on this. We need to establish some sort of identity. We got to figure out what we're going to do. If we're going to roll with Garoppolo, we got to get Garoppolo some real weapons. Deebo Samuel, like as good as he's been, he's not a number one receiver. We need a true number one receiver. Brian Ayuk, I mean, we got him just returning punts. I mean, it's just the running back situation. I mean, we've got just dozens of like running backs. This is kind of like each week it's a mystery who we're going to play. The defense has looked like a shell of itself from last year. It's just I want to give Kyle Shanahan the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that he should be fired or anything, but he got to fix this. He has to fix it because we look bad. We look really, really, really bad. And
all right, so when they're gonna start? When y'all gonna stop giving them a pass? How many years?
So
is this year 5 or year 4?
This year 5. This is year 5. I think after this year, we have to stop giving them a pass. I think that right now, I've always believed in the vision, and I believed in the direction that him and Lynch have went in. So I've been like, you know what, you got to be patient, and you have to like wait for the team to develop. But right now, we pretty much mortgaged our future and put it on Trey Lance, which I still am behind that decision. But it's clear that he's not healthy. He's going to need a little bit more time to develop, and they're going to have to construct that team with some weapons around them. You know, whether or not it's Garoppolo, whether or not it's Trey Lance, they're going to have to get some sort of offensive firepower. This isn't the 98 Denver Broncos where you could just plug and play any running back in there, and it just is what it is. The league adjusts, and the league adapts, and he's got to adapt. He's got to adapt to what's going on. So this season we'll see. It's still early. Well, it's not early. It's halfway through. Can we go on a run? Absolutely, but it's got to start now. Like this is the time to where if you're going to go on a run, you need to figure it out, or we're playing for next year.
All right, I think y'all playing for next year, but that's neither here nor there. So check this out. I mean, since we're talking about coaches, and before we get to the winner of the week, I think that is par for the course that we can't go without talking about Mike Tomlin and him going off on a press about the USC job, right? So, what were your thoughts on that? Because I have my own feelings about it, and I'll but what are your thoughts?
It was absolutely disrespectful, man. It was disrespectful. I agree with him, man. It's like so the Steelers are in a unique situation. They got old, right? And we all knew that they were going to get old last year, but they rolled the dice and they stayed loyal to Big Ben. All right.
Right.
And that wasn't I can't rest that all at Mike Tomlin. I think that was just the organization just doing the right thing by somebody that has been there. So I don't think Pittsburgh really has a coaching issue. It's just that they need to figure out what they're going to do with their offense moving forward, and they have to accept the fact that they're probably heading toward a rebuild. I still think that Mike Tomlin is the guy to lead them through that, and I just found it a little disrespectful that they trying to pawn that man off on USC. Like he's the Steelers head coach, man. He's Super Bowl winning coach. Like what?
All right, so there's a couple things I took away from this. So the first thing was, Carson Palmer stated something and people ran with it, right? And I get it. He's a great head coach. If he decided to lead the Steelers, or the Steelers happened to fire him, they wouldn't even be able to finish saying fired before he had another offer. So with that, I think he did take offense to it because he's in the middle of doing his job. But I believe him. Me personally, I believe him. And then I saw a video of Nick Saban giving a similar type of speech about in 2006, right before he went to Alabama. He said, I am the Dolphins head coach. I'm not going to Alabama. There ain't enough money, blah, blah, blah. And a few months later, after that season was over, he was in Alabama, and it worked out for him, right? But he was already a college coach. It didn't really work in the NFL. I think Mike Tomlin is grossly underrated. As good as he is, and with everything I just said, I think Mike Tomlin is grossly underrated because they don't give him the props that they give a McVay, Andy Reid, Sean Payton. He don't get those type of props. And he's never had a losing season ever as a head coach. He's never had a losing season. So I feel like he should be talked about as one of the greatest coaches in the league right now, right? And I don't think he gets talked about that because he's a defensive-minded coach. I think the only defensive-minded coach that even gets props like that is Bill Belichick. And he had Tom Brady for 20 years.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say too, is sometimes when you win ugly and you don't do it like, I guess, the throwing for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, you had a high-powered offense or whatnot.
But they do though. They've
had a high-power offense, but when he actually won the Super Bowl, they won ugly that year. I mean, they won, but it wasn't a cruise or finesse type team. I mean, it's the same thing about Tom Coughlin. He's not considered really one of the great coaches or whatnot, but it's because those were ugly Super Bowl runs, and they don't get the credit like a Sean McVay, and they should. I'm not saying that they should.
I don't think that's the case. Their first Super Bowl, with Bill Cowher, but that Super Bowl that Mike Tomlin won, that joint was a shootout. That's when they played Arizona.
Yeah, that's one particular game though, but that was a slug 'em out, gritty team that would win in the fourth quarter. It wasn't like they were like heavily like favorites, or people was just like, okay, the Steeler team is just gonna roll in there and they're just gonna win the Super Bowl. That was he just coached his butt off. The Steelers clicked when it was the right time, and he was able to have success. And I don't think like a lot of people give. I mean, a Super Bowl win is a Super Bowl win, right? Mm-hmm. So regardless of how you get there, sometimes certain people don't get the credit that they deserve. People just look at it like, it was just their year. Mm-hmm. And I think he kind of gets hung up in that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, kind of like Sean McDermott. I mean, he's been a great coach at Buffalo. I mean, before he got there, they were absolutely horrid. I mean, they still struggled to beat Tom Brady, but I mean, he took several of those teams to the playoffs, and I mean, with no names. I mean, he had Tyrod Taylor and Nate Peterman. His name just makes my skin crawl because I think he's probably the worst quarterback in NFL history. That's just my personal opinion.
So let me ask you this: while we're on Buffalo, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that those 4 Super Bowl losses will haunt them as far as people won't get as excited about Buffalo until they actually win?
See,
the Super Bowl?
Here's the thing. As crazy as this may sound, Buffalo, they have a top 3 fan base. Their fan base, aside from Dallas and Pittsburgh, I think they're right there as far as fan base. So I don't think they'll ever have to worry about excitement. But if you want to go like nationally, I feel that will it haunt them? I don't know if it haunts them. I think it was so long ago that they don't care. They just want them to get back to the Super Bowl and they see what happens. I don't think those 4 Super Bowl losses, because people don't really talk about that, unless but I don't know if it'll haunt them.
Okay. So maybe not haunt them. Maybe haunt them is the wrong word, but people don't seem to get as excited about what Buffalo was doing, right? So Buffalo, up until this point, they've had a really good season. They took a slug to Tennessee, and Tennessee seems to be clicking, and that was a team that I wasn't high on. I'll admit that now, but for whatever reason, Buffalo doesn't get, I guess, the credit, and I'm trying to figure out why people are still sleeping on Buffalo.
If they're sleeping on Buffalo, they're damn crazy.
Buffalo. We're not sleeping on them, but you don't hear it. I know one person distinctively that talks about Buffalo going to the Super Bowl, but you don't hear everybody like, you got to watch out for the Bills, or people are still talking about Kansas City. They're talking about the Chargers. They're talking about a lot of other teams in the AFC, but it's not really a lot of noise being made around the Bills.
So and you're right, and I definitely understand that. But I tell you what, if I know I picked Tennessee to be the 1 seed before the season in the AFC, but if Tennessee's not the 1 seed, it's gonna be Buffalo. It's gonna be one of those two, because Buffalo, they play in the AFC East, and now it's their turn to take over, and you have those 6 games. It's like, oh, they're gonna win those 6 games. It was New England for about 20 years. Now it's Buffalo, and for the foreseeable future, because I see Mac Jones getting better. I don't see him being better than Josh Allen. I just don't see it. Now, as far as the media getting on the Buffalo bandwagon, you don't hear it as much, but I think you're about to start hearing it. But yeah, it's going to be Buffalo's division for quite some time. Now, will they win Super Bowls? I don't know. But if there's a quarterback and a coach that can do it, they're in Buffalo right now.
So I got a question about that, though. Mm-hmm. Do you necessarily need Mac Jones to be better than Josh Allen? I think the Patriot way, what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to surround him with enough talent and fix that team to where it brings out his strengths. I don't see them wanting him to put up the numbers of it like Josh Allen.
Check this out, Scott. Check this out. When the Patriots were winning all those years, right? Was there ever a quarterback in that division better than Brady?
No, but right? there wasn't many quarterbacks better than Brady.
No, I understand that. I understand it. And as Josh Allen goes on, there's not going to be many quarterbacks better than Josh Allen either. But what I'm saying is, for that division, the best quarterback is going to win that division. It is what it is. Now, yeah, Belichick could be Belichick. Belichick ain't going. Who knows how long Belichick is going to be there? But Belichick is gonna. I don't know if the Patriot way is still gonna cut it. I think they're gonna have to adjust as well, just like the Bills had to adjust. I mean, they got lucky with a draft pick, but he's panning out as of right now. Now, will they surround Mac Jones? Absolutely. I mean, they've started already. They spent the most money. They spent the most money that they've ever spent in the history of the organization in free agency this year. And I do still think that they could possibly make the Super Bowl. I mean, not Super Bowl, but the playoffs, possibly. But I feel that it's gonna be a Bills division for quite some time. So you're gonna have to deal with Mike. For another 10, 15 years of Josh Allen, but let's get to the winner of the week.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, so my winner of the week this week is the Chicago Blackhawks as an organization. I don't know if you've heard, but their coach Brian Aldrich, he was accused of sexually assaulting one of their players. But you know that type of stuff it shouldn't happen. But what makes the Chicago Blackhawks the winner of the week is they knew about this information and chose not to act on it. They decided to pursue their Stanley Cup, which they were in the middle of a playoff race when this ended up happening. And they waited to report this stuff to HR before they actually, well after they had won the Stanley Cup. I thought that type of behavior was egregious. I know right now they've been a few of the coaches and the GM and the people that was in the front office have been resigning. But what are your thoughts on that, man? A player comes to his to the senior leadership in that organization and says, "Hey, I was sexually assaulted by the video coach," and they hold it till after they win a Stanley Cup, let the guy resign, but give him a Stanley Cup, engrave his name in the Stanley Cup plaque, honor him on ring night with the team, and let him ride off into the sunset. And one thing that I forgot to mention too, 3 years later, this same guy ended up assaulting a teenager at a high school in Michigan where he was doing some volunteer work. So he's got convicted on that. So if the Blackhawks would have just reacted or did something to this claim when they found it out, you possibly could have prevented him doing this to a minor. What are your thoughts on that, man?
So I didn't know that part. And now, so let me go to the organization first. I feel like it was the GM that got fired, right?
It was the GM. It was a gang of them. It was about 6 of them that worked.
So I think that the NHL should step in. They should have a hefty fine.
They do. It's $2 million.
Yeah.
$2 million.
I don't even know if that's enough, but okay. That's pretty hefty. I don't have $2 million, but so the part that really bugs me is that part bugs me as well. But when you talk about kids, right, and he was volunteering, I personally feel that if you sexually assault children, right, if you sexually assault children who really can't defend themselves, and I know there are some adults. I know there are some adults that get sexually harassed or sexually assaulted and may for whatever reason can't defend themselves. But when you're dealing with kids, tender age children, me personally, I think that you're psycho. I think that you should be locked up, and I think that you should be castrated. That's just me personally. And that may be mean, that may be wrong, but when you're dealing with kids, you're talking a whole nother ball game, man. And I don't. Nah, anything bad that happens to you, I don't care. So that means they get locked up and they get castrated. It is what it is. I mean, you chose to do that. You know what I'm saying? You chose to do this. You know, but I think that that's disgusting. And the Blackhawks should find this child. And money can't make it right, but it damn sure can help. They need to fix this. Whoever this kid is, they need to take care of their family and take care of whatever therapy that this child has to go through and whatever help this child needs. they need to handle that, and they should be responsible for that because, like you said, if they addressed this years ago, that possibly doesn't happen. Some may say, well, it could have still happened. Nah. I mean, he would have been it would have been public knowledge, you know. So yeah, man. I think that Chicago Blackhawks.
So here's my thing, and this is another reason why they are the winner of the week. I feel like this story is being undercovered. Mm-hmm. You know, this is it happened in 2010, so it happened 11 years ago. The investigation has been going on. A lot of the members that were on that Stanley Cup run are still coaching and have moved up to been promoted. Some are still within that organization. So others have moved on to other organizations. And it's just the story is just sitting there looming. And like I said, the unfortunate thing is you have incidents in any organization, that any business, any sport, things happen that people don't condone. But it's all how you respond to them and how you could course correct, right? And, you know, we've seen it with like the Michigan State University, how they failed to respond. Yeah, how they failed to respond, and you know, with Penn State and how they failed to respond. But to see a professional team and something like this happen, and them not respond, and somehow just get away with not being held accountable is crazy.
Yeah, and so it is very yeah, it almost kind of leaves you speechless.
Right.
But I think part of the reason why it's being I don't want to say undercover because it kind of seems like undercover, you know, but it's not being covered as much as anything else. It's because you're dealing with men. You're dealing with men being sexually assaulted, and who knows? It may open up another can of worms, but it should be open. It should be open. It should be covered. It should be talked about. These guys should be this should be front page news. It shouldn't be on the back page. It shouldn't. You shouldn't have these shows that go on for 2 to 4 hours a day, and they don't even talk about it. You got your football coverage, your basketball coverage, but yeah, this should be covered. It should be stated. They should be about outside the lines. There should be documentaries or investigative reports on multiple media outlets. It shouldn't just be swept under the rug just because one is hockey and because it's grown men that were sexually assaulted. That shouldn't matter.
So let me ask you this, right? Mm-hmm. So you got the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
They've had an investigation too. It looks like the results are in. The NFL commissioner is saying that he's not going to publish the results of that finding. Do you agree with that?
No. And you know, I honestly, coming into today, I was like, that the NFL was the winner of the week until you brought in that story, but they're so similar because not necessarily because you're dealing with kids, but you know there was so much sexual harassment going on, and now you're saying, all right, we found out what they did, we had the investigation, we're not going to release what Scott, those findings are going to get released.
Oh yeah, no.
They can say they're not released. They might not be releasing them right now. Those findings are gonna get released. Please, yeah, right. And I mean, and that might end up getting Washington sued, the NFL sued. I mean, because, and maybe that's why they don't want to release it because it's so much damage. I mean, it already got John Gruden racist ass fired. So, I mean,
but you know what surprises me with all this? one common theme with all these organizations that have problems, like, and I'm bringing up like the Dallas Mavericks, just everybody in the past years, they don't have a lot of HR personnel. It's like they're almost like skimming on having a true HR department.
Right.
And eventually, like I said, it catches up to them. Like, I was amazed at how little. I don't want to say it was like 3 people, but it was some crazy absurd number that the Washington football team had working their HR. So
Right.
you know, with that, and you know, a lot of people say, okay, well, what does pay have to do with it? But they're really missing that diversity and inclusion and outlet to, if these type of things are happening, that outlet to complain and report and,
Right.
and make sure that everything is like properly investigated, and you're at least addressing the individuals that are doing these type of behaviors. And then once you start seeing people getting addressed, other people start to kind of fall in line and say, you know what, it's not worth it. I want to straighten up, and you start to deter people. But like with the Washington football team, it seems like that was a promotable environment that they were in, and they had no ramifications. So people just kind of fell in line with how they felt the organization was, and it just snowballed. So yeah, I've been surprised looking at that.
So and I think that you know what. So I'll say this: I do like what Washington has been doing since then. Hiring the woman play-by-play announcer. You got a black president. You got a Hispanic head coach. And you have all these different you have a more diverse organization.
Right.
Don't be surprised if the Las Vegas Raiders are even more diverse next season. I think I mean they may have 2 women coaches on the team. I mean they're probably gonna have a black head coach. I think because they're gonna be as diverse as possible next year. Watch what I tell you. Now I'll say this: we haven't really got a chance to talk about the NBA. It's been a week. It's been about a week. What are your thoughts so far about the season in totality? What are your thoughts on what you're seeing so far?
So right now, I like my Knicks. I think your Bulls look pretty good. I mean, it's really early.
It is.
The Lakers, you know, everybody's looking at LeBron sat out. He's going to sit out, I believe, tonight too. And
Yep.
Russell Westbrook was able to find his groove. It's early. It's early. It's really, really, really early. I've got to do some more. I guess I watched the Denver and Utah game yesterday, and I watched the Knicks and the 76ers. My biggest question is the Ben Simmons saga seems to be it continues, and it seems to be like there's no coming back from it.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think they're going to move him?
Ooh, I don't think you could go the whole year, but I don't think he's getting traded. I know during the summer or a couple months ago I said, yeah, he's probably going to be gone, but where would he go? But I'm starting to think that he's not going to get traded. I think eventually he's gonna suit up and play for the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's gonna.
I mean, they have him under contract for a while, and
4 years.
And I guess what they're sending a message that, you know, you're not doing us any favors by not going out there and showcasing what you're capable of.
Yep.
So you devalue your value Yeah, because you didn't have a strong playoff performance, and then now you're not coming out to even show people that you've worked on other aspects of your game or anything like that. So it's interesting. I thought they would have got a deal done, but it looks like they're just like, you know what? You can throw a temper tantrum, we're going to throw you out of practice.
And Daryl Morey said it. He was like, well, I mean, we got him for 4 years. This just be going on for 4 years. It is what it is. I tell you who my biggest surprise is, and this may sound crazy. Right now, my biggest surprise is not even the Bulls. It's the Warriors, man.
Oh, being undefeated.
Steph is looking a lot like MVP Steph, man. And I mean, he's scary, yo. I mean, he's scary. They play the Bulls in a couple weeks. On the 12th, I believe. Yeah, the 12th. So, yeah, in a couple weeks. And I don't think both teams will be undefeated by then. But I think that's going to be a better game than a lot of people thought it was going to be heading into the season. But I think the Warriors are right now are my surprise team. That I tell you what, if they're in the top 4 seeds when Clay gets back, teams better have their antennas up and watch out for Ja Morant. Ja Morant is he's about this close. He's about this close to taking over the league.
For whatever reason, and I don't know why he keeps getting slept on.
Ja Morant.
I don't get it, but he's being slept on in the worst way, and I don't know why. So look, we do got to talk about this. Your Braves are in the World Series. They're up 1-0 on Houston. I believe they play today, right?
They're playing as we speak. They're down 5-1.
They're down 5-1.
I mean, but it's still, I mean, so my whole thing was, you got to split when you're on the road. You have to, if you don't do anything else, you got to split, just so you can get home field advantage. I personally feel Braves will win the World Series in 6 games. Scott, okay. Let's go. You ready to ride to Atlanta? What's good?
I may have to take you up on that offer, man.
You got to drive some too. Cause I got bad legs. So. I can still drive. I can still drive some. But yeah. I think that it's something about this team. It's something about this team that gives me 2018 Washington National vibes. Those teams are really similar. They're very similar.
Well, I will say this: the Braves didn't appear to win the free agency when everybody was in the arms race to figure out let me get the teams. I think a lot of people looked at the Dodgers and was like, oh my God, or you looked at what the Yankees were doing
and the
Brewers, yeah, and you saw the Braves take a lot of low cost, low reward risk, and it panned out. I mean, at the end of the day, they're playing, right? It's October, they're still in it, and everything seemed to work out for them. So
and you're missing your second best player,
right?
Acuna he's been out for the season. So,
but when he went out, it seemed like the Brave season was going to be over. And they adjusted to him being out. So I mean, kudos to them. I definitely counted him out. I was like, it's not going to work. But like you said, 2019 Nationals, you get hot at the right time.
At the right time.
Yes, sir.
I remember Game 7. We recorded and then went to watch that game out in DC. And this is pre-COVID. That's 2018. Yeah, 2018. Pre-COVID, but man, was it 2018 or 2019?
No, it was 19. It was
19. Okay, yeah, because that was the same year the Mystics won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and who won? Yeah, damn. everybody in Washington won except for the basketball team and the football team. So yeah, man. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of runs scored tonight. If there's going to be a night where a game where they score a ton of runs, it's going to be tonight. Look who we have here. Look at here. Our good old buddy Corey Palmer, man. I love that guy, man. But
you know what? I will say this: what he did created a lot of participation. So I mean, if all else fails, brought out a lot of people out the woodworks, and it kept me busy all day following it. So
so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next week. But just to answer Phil's question about the NBA, do we think that the NBA is stepping to help resolve the Ben Simmons situation behind the scenes? No, I mean his agent may try and reach out, but I don't think that the NBA is gonna step in. I
think it's going to send a different message. It's going to send a different
that helps
message
the NBA.
If you're going to sign these contracts, you're obligated to play, and we don't have to trade you. Like, work it out. Just because you're unhappy and you're not receptive. I mean, it could have gotten to the point to where maybe it was like a James Harden type issue to where the organization just say, you know what, we're tired of bending over backwards for you. And I mean, for a couple of years, we've been trying to figure out, is it Embiid or is it Ben Simmons? Right. Something doesn't seem right with the 76ers.
Right.
And right now it's looking that it's been Ben Simmons the whole time.
Dang. Well, I mean, we're gonna find out, and I mean that's gonna be ongoing. That's not gonna end no time soon. It's gonna be ongoing, and yeah, man. So, this weekend some more games, fantasy. Hey, yo, Scott, man, you gotta prepare yourself. Next week we doing the fantasy 5, man. We're gonna maybe we'll sit down. We'll do this together, man. So
no. I'm not touching the fantasy 5. As a matter of fact, in the works, we're going to change the intro. Heck, no, I'm not about to go on video and tell everybody what I'm thinking. And it's not that even anybody would be taking my advice. That's listening. It'd be blocking my moves. Like,
so
that's what you think.
So yeah, but so what you do. You don't necessarily have to give them your moves. You can. We'll talk about it.
That's the
no,
whole.
No, you can give them. You can give them. Not necessarily sleeper picks. You can talk about the five guys that you felt this past week were. We'll talk about it, man. I can't. I'm about to tear up, man. But yeah, man. Let's get up out of here. We gonna next week. Next week we'll probably have some of our friends on again. Yeah, man. But I think it's time to go. I know you're probably hungry, as usual. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. It's off the record. Oh wait, who you got tomorrow? Cardinals or the Packers?
I gotta go Cardinals, man. Devontae Adams isn't playing. Lizard in Lazard. Lizard, but Lazard's not playing. Yeah, I gotta go Cardinals.
About in a blowout?
Nah, it ain't gonna be a blowout.
Hey, yo, I'm going Packers, yo.
Oh. All right. Hey. Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Hey, this is one of those where you this is one of those where you placing those bets and it's like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Hey,
Yo, listen.
hey, off the record is not responsible for any of your betting habits. If you're watching, if you decide to take betting advice from Anthony on the Packers,
I win a lot of my bets.
You win. I just don't know if that's the one that I would. I don't know.
I got
so
some,
the odds might be pretty good. I don't know.
Damn. Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna see. But,
yeah.
I'm glad I ain't got Aaron Rodgers. So, but all right, man. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
All right, we out.
All right, peace.
We Off the Record. Anthony Adebayo. We Off the Record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.